Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hi, red.olaughlin here on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, anywhere in the world you may be. This is a worldwide platform, and we provide awareness, education, entertainment, a lot of different things. Over 40 shows per week are available. This show is The Wise Ones, and I am honored today, truly honored, to have Gail Stolzenburg join me. I've known Gail for quite a few years. Every month we do the presentation honors for the Houston West Chamber of Commerce. Gail's been doing that for well over a dozen years. I haven't quite been that far, but maybe the last 8 or 9 years I've been a regular on that particular presentation. And he has an expertise in networking that exceeds almost everybody that I know. And so we're going to talk a little bit about business networking today. And so, Gail, would you please join me? Howdy, Gail.
How are you, Red?
Exceptionally well, as always. Business networking. Things have changed since the pandemic. Why don't we take just a minute and talk, what was the typical way we networked even 5 years ago? And because of the restrictions of the pandemic, we forced us into other ways. So why don't you kind of give us a very brief history of not long ago, and then what does somebody need to do today? You know, what is networking? What value does it give us? And what should we be doing today that's different than what we've done before?
There are some similarities between what we're doing now and what we did before. When the pandemic came along, of course, we had to switch to primarily doing Zoom-type meetings, and that changed not only the effect that we had with people, because it's so important, I think, to have in-live type meetings where you can actually see more of the body language and get to interact with people some. But that is started back up again since the pandemic. We are getting more in-live type meetings, and we have really improved what we're doing with the internet, with the wave and the types of communication like that. So I think we've made some steps forward. We're advancing, and we've got things like AI that are making the presentations easier, and I think we're on a good course.
Well, you know, one of the things that came out pretty obviously was the fact that, as we are right now, we started a new video program's probably not the right word, but communication method using wave. We used to be on StreamYard, but one of the main focuses during the pandemic was Zoom, which is still a big video communication network. Okay, so we have from in-person to being locked in your home to maybe making some phone calls, maybe being a little active on social media, then having Zoom come in where you share your bedroom with everybody. And then now we're back to having live events again, whether people are wearing masks or not, it doesn't matter. There are live events. And I know one that is here in Houston has almost 100 to 200 people almost every Friday morning. And so those events exist. There's some out in some of the outer reaches of Houston where we both live that typically has a dozen, 2 dozen, maybe 3 dozen on occasion. And so the in-people meetings are actually starting to blossom again. Some, regardless of what happened, they're not coming back. Other ones that weren't there are exploding. What do you attribute the lessening of participation in some, and then just the gangbusters in others? What do you think is the cause of that?
Well, part of it is the makeup of the meeting. Uh, the use of having great speakers makes a considerable difference in the attendance. And I think the other thing that we'll find is the type of synergy that there are in these groups. I think they've probably become more specialized. I'm thinking of one group that I belong to called the Senior Estate Concierge. Rather than a networking group, it's really a resource services education type group, but the same principle. And it's really a niche type group as opposed to just having everybody attend.
Okay, okay. I know that you've made these presentations before because that's part of our what we call PDN on our I can't remember what the P stands for. Uh, Personal network developing. That's what it is. I'm sorry. Personal network developing. All of a sudden, brain just going crazy. But on that, when we're talking about it, we're seeing a lot of things, and you talk about some of the myths and misunderstandings about business networking. So why don't you take a brief moment and just what are some of the myths? What are some of the misunderstandings? Because if people are not networking, that's one thing. If they're networking and they're not getting productive, maybe they're under the influence of, well, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
Take it away.
I think one of the misunderstandings is that networking is only for extroverts. I'm not sure I like the terminology introverts and extroverts, but as we know, people that might be described as introverts, such as Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or Warren Buffett, are very, very successful people. So that it's not a matter of not being for uh, uh, introverts. It's actually that introverts just take a little bit longer time to study and review things in their mind before they take action. And so smaller groups are probably better for introverts than longer groups. But all of them can be successful with networking. And it's another myth is that networking is about collecting business cards. And I know you guys got a little stack of business cards with a rubber band around them, and that eventually gets stored or thrown away. But the important thing is building the relationships and making the quality connections that's going on. Uh, Networks are not the only way to network. These network meetings are what we think of as a major time, but there's also conventions, there's business meetings, there's uh, all types of organizational type meetings where we can be networking. We may say it's only for job seekers, but I can tell you in the networking events that I am involved with, only about 1% are probably job workers. The rest of them are trying to look for business opportunities, partnerships, mentorships, industrial insights, that type of thing. Brian Tracy used to talk about the 10 top ways to close the deal. You know what he talks about now? Building trust and rapport. So networks are more than just self promotion. In fact, what we're trying to do now is to learn how to support each other and their goals and have a mindset for collaboration and genuine interests.
One of
Slide
the
went
things you
over there.
mentioned, one of the things you mentioned was collecting business cards, and that's something I've done for ever and ever and ever. But I also on the business card I'll write down, Katie business meeting this date and anything else that's particular to that particular person. Like on you, I might say private pilot, whatever. So I can put things in there that jog my memory when I want to talk to that person. Okay, I went to my first meeting downtown there with 100 plus of other networkers, and all of a sudden they're taking this thing here and putting it into LinkedIn, and they're touching one person's phone to another person's phone, and voila, the LinkedIn gets updated. And I said, "Wow, technology, that's great." But I get home, who did I meet? I can't find them anywhere because they're in my system, but I don't have their name. So what I had to do for the second meeting was, as soon as I met Gail Stolzenburg and we did the phone bump to each other, my phone's not bumping, but it's out there someplace. Anyway, all of a sudden, then I would send, because it would pop up right then and there with that person's contact information. And if I would send them a meeting, great meeting you, Gail, love to join you for coffee, whatever. Now I have a message that connects that time, that location, everything going on, and I don't lose that contact. So the technology's there. It provides a lot of information quickly. I don't have to write anything down. But the thing is that sometimes you rely too much on technology and it doesn't always benefit you. You have to understand what the technology is giving you and how to use it. So I'm sure you've been to those meetings where you pick up something and I have no idea
I've
who.
been to the Cup of Joy at the Ion District many times, and then I used to do like you. I carried a little little notepad along with me to mark down Red O'Laughlin. Is the guy I just met, and now what I'm doing is as soon as we make that connection, and it's generally through LinkedIn, uh, but as soon as we make that connection, then I send a message to the individual and maybe a word or two about what we discussed, and that becomes my electronic notification now.
Yeah, yeah. Again, they don't tell you that. They just connect. Okay, fine, I'm connecting. But an experienced networker, you want to be able to capture that connection and understand what that person has to offer as far as being able to you provide some value to them or vice versa or
Right.
mutually. One of the things that you also happen to have a fair amount of experience in it is the difference between men and women networking. There is a distinct difference.
A few years ago, I was on the stage with John Gray. You'll remember him. Great book. Men are from Venus, from Mars. Women are from Venus. Actually, I have to be honest with you. My wife says I have to be honest with you. I was in the audience, and John Gray picked me as one of the subjects to be up there on the stage with him. But one of the things I took from John was that networking is all about relationships, plain and simple. Understanding the opposite sex in a new and positive light is a key to lasting business relationships and increased business. So, one of the talks I give is entitled Business Networking and Sex, Not What You Think. And it's all about the difference between men and women networking. There was a survey of 12,000 men and women, about half men, half women, over a 4 year period. And they asked these men and women uh, 25 different questions. I won't go over the 25 questions, but I'll tell you quickly what the results were. They determined that men just talk about the bottom line, while women build trust and rapport. Men talk about being task oriented, and women are natural listeners and discussers. Men are left brain thinkers, while women are both right and left brain thinkers. Men may be strong in math, but women respond to specific stimuli, like a baby crying. When men meet, it's always about fight or flight. Are they going to argue or are they going to just walk away? While women are tending and befriending people. Next month, Elvie and I are going to give a presentation to a group at the local library on successful marriage. Um, we've been married 21,682 days today. I count every day. Zig Ziglar wrote a lot of great books on marketing, sales, leadership. But the best book he ever wrote, in my opinion, is a book called Courtship After Marriage: How to Treat Your Partner Like She's a Girlfriend. So the important thing is that we do realize what those gender uh, differences are, and that we start treating people accordingly.
Interesting. I was just having a conversation with my wife before the show, and she was standing, and the background of the light kind of made her face just extra bright. And because we're talking about, we're actually talking about our daughter at the time, and she was mentioning something, and she gave me this little smile that she used to give me all the time back when we were dating and we were first married. And I mentioned to her, I says, "That's a smile from 50 some years ago," because it just all of a sudden it just clicked in my mind that's the girl that I remember. That face, just all this. Don't ask me why. I see it all the time. But that one particular instance was something that caused me to comment accordingly. But
You probably
sometimes
still hold hands, don't you, Red?
I do. I even open the door for the car for her. Open the door for the places we go in. Yeah, all those things that I used to do way back when for literally everyone. It seemed
And
like
you even open the door for
yeah, walk in the door. Yeah, all of those items that has not changed. That's still there. But
Well, there's a lot of differences. Communicating approaches, networking goals, uh, building the different connections, networking opportunities that differ between men and women. But I always tell people, I always tell men, dress for a woman, because you see, a woman notices everything. They notice your hair, they notice your eyebrows, they notice if there's a hair in your ears, they notice if your tie and your shirt match, if your shoes are polished. They notice everything. So dress for women.
we did things a certain way, and some are still doing it that way. So what was totally acceptable 10 years ago in networking, business networking, probably is not looked at the same today. What are one or two things that are common mistakes that people that don't have the experience networking, they go out? I used to do it. Now I have my own business. Things have changed. I want to get back out in the business world. What are one or maybe two things that people are doing that they should not do when they're out trying to get new clients or be able to tell the world about themselves?
Well, a few years ago, a fellow named Eric Stanley developed a networking organization in Houston. It had over 10,000 members, largest I've ever known. And I think there was over 6 chapters. Some of the chapters had 300 or 400 people in a meeting, and I attended one of those meetings. And I had prepared my elevator pitch. I wanted to meet this guy and tell him about myself, and uh, I was surprised. The first question that he asked me was, "Who would you like to meet?" And that totally transformed the approach that I've used to networking. So when you look at where networking starts, you might think it's when they come in the room, or when you make eye contact, or when you shake hands, or when you start talking. No, it's about waking up in the morning, looking in the mirror, and putting on your networking face. Tony Robbins calls it peak state. Jonathan Sprinkles calls it the position. But you want to know where you're going to go, who you're going to meet. A lot of times, if it's a new group, we'll all look up the membership and pick out somebody, and and you want to be specific about what you're going to talk with people about. So that's one of the problems or mistakes, is lack of preparedness. Another one is probably about follow up. Now, when you're leaving after meeting with somebody, do you say, "Hey, Red, I'll get in touch with you. I'll give you a call. I'll send you an email. I'll send you a text"? No. You should pull out that cell phone, ask them to do the same, and pick a time where you're going to do a meeting right now rather than putting it off. Tony Harris Taylor is one of the best networkers that I know. Her goal for every meeting that she attends is to set up at least 3 meetings. And that's why she's become such a good networker. And I think you want to always give them a gift. Taking instead of giving is one of the problems that I see with networking. When they introduce themselves, they tell you how great they are, how great their products are, how great their company is, and you're nodding your head and saying and you're looking over their shoulder to see who the next person is they're going to meet. So those are just some of the things that I think are mistakes that networkers make.
You talk about putting on your face in the morning, getting prepared for that new client list or being able to share something. But tell us a little bit about your day. I know you get up 4 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym or whatever. I know for an old guy like you do a lot of stuff that even younger men would be impressed with.
When I get your age, I may be that way too, Red. Red's laughing because I'm older than he is. But anyway, uh,
Not
I
by
do
much.
get up. I do get up between 4:30 and 5 every morning, and do my exercise. Go to the health club. Do my meditation and prayer, and I get more work done before the phone starts ringing than most people do. But I think one of the key things that I have learned is what I call time blocking, and that is that I set my schedule, and it may be in 20-minute increments, but never longer than 55 minutes. So if I've been sitting down, I always get up and I move around, maybe jumping jacks or whatever, to get the blood back up to my brain, so that I can work more. But each one of these time blocks has something specific. For instance, I set aside to make 2 or 3 new friends every day. Now, that may be over the internet, it may be phone calls, it may be uh, following up from some of the previous meetings that I have that I've been to, and I spend some time writing. Uh, like like Red, I'm a prolific writer of articles and books and those kind of things. And then I also set aside at least 2, 3, maybe 4 times a week where I'll be attending a networking meeting. A lot of these morning meetings are morning meetings, some of them are lunch meetings or so on. And then I have the afternoon for dedicating it to specific projects that I'm working on. And I go to bed early.
Well, that's assuming early to bed, early to rise, whatever. But when you have your day going like that, and one of the things I do this time of year is where am I getting some return on my investment of my money that I have dues that I'm paying for maybe a networking group or a social organization. My time, as you talk about, some of these things are 7:30 in the morning. There might be a noon meeting that costs you $25 for lunch or whatever. Where do you find, or how do you evaluate whether a networking group is good for your business? I mean, you go in there and you're the only painter, and everyone else is an IT or something. There are some places you fit in naturally, but how do you find them? Where do you go to get the best bang for your buck, so to speak, when you're doing business networking?
Well, my answer today might be different than would have been a few years ago, because I have to include AI in, in one of the tools that I use for that kind of thing. But I have found when I'm wanting to meet a specific person, the first thing that I look for is where they are spending their non-profit time in. You can always meet somebody in a business type atmosphere, but it's entirely different if you're working together for a nonprofit. And I found that you can build relationships a lot better then. Now, one of the mistakes is that people think it all happens at the network meeting. And really, that's just a starting. The most important place is the one-to-one type meeting. And you should set aside at least an hour and 30 minutes. You have them talk about their business, and the other 30 minutes you can talk about your business. But the one-to-one meetings is where you're going to start generating this return on investment for your time. Now, too many of the networking meetings that I have attended are really just social meetings. Uh, they're it's a comfort envelope that the people are in. They're getting together with their buddies again, and it's not really producing the monetizing of networking that needs to happen. So I think that the important thing is that you find groups that you fit in with, and that will benefit you.
Two questions I ask when I do a one-on-one. One is, what do you do for fun? It's a question that rarely ever gets asked anywhere in your life, especially in business networking. You want to know what that person is doing, but we don't get involved in, I love to water ski or whatever it may happen to be. And sometimes those other interests are very, very interesting. I mean, we've had a couple of people on this show, ironically, both here from Houston, Texas, and their fun is Brazilian ballroom dancing. And one of them even opened a studio in Houston for Brazilian ballroom dancing. And so it opens up a totally different world when, well, what passions do you have when you're not out trying to get clients? And that, I think, is a very good way of doing it. And the other one, to kind of piggyback on the question that I asked you, is what are the best places to go to? If we were doing a one-on-one, toward the end, I say, Gail, I know you're very active in a lot of things. What business networking groups are the best for you? And that way I'm not worried about all the ones that don't work so well or whatever, but I'm getting somebody in a one-on-one basis where they don't mind sharing something. Well, the Katie business, whatever, or the those things I think are very valuable because by that time you've developed that rapport, that trust that you've talked about earlier. But now you have the ability to actually take that and delve in a little bit. Share with me one or two business groups, because if you just ask that question out, well, maybe I don't want that person in that group because I don't know you very well. But after you have that trust, I think it really does add to the ability to, well, uh, this group over here only meets once a quarter, but I think that you would fit in so well. So that is what I do when I want to try to find some other groups, and sometimes they're online. Uh, Somebody introduced me to Happy Neighborhood Project a while back. Fell in love with it. It changed a little bit over time, but there are some networking groups that meet once a month that are absolutely the best in the world. So it's amazing, but people don't know about them because that information is not shared very easily. What do you think?
One of the questions I always ask someone is, where else do you network? And it does two things. One, it may show to that person that they might need to network more, or the other thing might be is that I might learn about a networking place that I was unfamiliar with, and open up another opportunity. Then, uh, one of the most important things in networking is giving a gift. You see, it's tit for tat. When you give somebody a gift, they're obligated to give you something back, even if it's just listening to you. And I always encourage people to give a gift somewhere in their talk or presentation when they are talking. Now, some of the ones that I have found the most beneficial, there is one here in the Houston area, which is also in Austin, Dallas, Atlanta, and a few other cities. That is called the Toolbox Ministry. It's a unique organization, but most of the meetings, and it's all faith based, not any particular denomination. But these individuals are dedicating their time and so forth. And in fact, at every one of the meetings, one of the members, sometimes more, actually pay for the entire meal, and they're all held at the Houston Club or Woodlands Country Club or those types of places. So you know the meal's not cheap. Another one I enjoy that is faith oriented also, and that is the Katy Christian Chamber. And all of these places have excellent speakers. One I go to that has no speakers at all is the Katy Business Connection. And there's no speakers, there's no prizes. Uh, all there is networking. And I've found that those are awesome places. And one I do on a regular basis because I co-leader of the group is called the Senior Estate Concierge. I mentioned them a little earlier. That is really a resource group for seniors and their families.
It sounds like you're really, really busy on a daily basis. If I'm an entrepreneur and I have a business and I'm constantly involved with distractions and life and everything else, and I have a certain amount of time and money that I want to put into marketing and advertising and whatever else that my business needs. But time is one of those quantities. I'm not actually fishing out money, I'm fishing out time. How much time is really and truly needed? And to me, it seems like a lot of time I'm wasting my time either driving someplace or whatever it may happen to be. I look at my return on my investment. But how much, if I'm just a business owner, should I be doing one or two a week? That's an hour each. What's your best guess or best advice for somebody who's networking now and they need to reassess their time, or somebody who wants to start networking and doesn't know how much time to give it?
Well, I spent, there's a lot of great networking organizations. I spent 17 and a half years with the BNI organization. In fact, the last few years, I was the education director for them. And one of the things that I saw there is that people would come in and they would just sit down and wait for somebody else to come sit down beside them. Pardon me. And so another one of those mistakes. But what I encourage people to do is to meet everybody in there. And that way you get a better understanding of whether or not there's people that you can help or that can help you. And that's got to be one of the criteria about whether or not you're going to be involved with that organization. It has to be a place where not only can you get referrals, but where you can give referrals. And if you start off on the basis of trying to help others as opposed to what can I get out of this, then I think you'll find a lot more places that you can attend. Now, how often and so forth, I was talking about BNI. Many of the BNI members that I talk with felt like BNI was the only meeting they ought to go to that week, and I always encourage them to get involved with the chambers of commerce or other meetings. So I'd say 2 times a week, maybe 3 times a week is what you should try to allocate for outside networking. Now, I'm not including the social media things that you are involved with there too.
Okay, so one or two meetings outside the home, and then you evaluate them over a period of time because people come and go over 3 or 4 or 5 month
Right.
period of time. Uh, you mentioned AI a little while ago. We're getting close to the end of the show, but I did want to come back to AI because we have ChatGPT that pretty much everybody's heard about. We also have Microsoft Azure and Bard, and you got a whole host if you're looking into diving down in. But which ones do you use, and how do you use it to really and truly help your networking in the businesses that you're in?
You know, I've been told that most of the kids' homework is now being done through AI. Um, Many of the PhD dissertations are being helped along with AI, and I'll have to plead guilty with you that one of the tools that I use in preparing for conversation like we're having now is AI, and what I asked AI was how does AI how is it applied to networking? And it came back and it gave me a list. I'll go over it quickly with you, but recommending systems, whether you can get historical data and behavior and personal recommendations. Automating lead generation. That's a great one because you can identify and generating leads by business by analyzing their data. Intelligent network platforms. They can enhance traditional platforms by intelligent features such as automated matchmaking and personalized event recommendations. NLP, I know you're thinking about neuro linguistic programming, but it is actually natural learning platforms. And that's the great benefit to AI is the professional connections there. And one other thing I'll mention is the chat bots and virtual assistants, because AI can save a lot of time for professionals in ensuring they get the right kind of communications and potential business contacts. So AI is a fantastic tool.
So I gather you use primarily ChatGPT. Is that correct?
I use it. I use several of them, but Chat GPT is one of them. And I'm looking at several others that have some unique things that Chat GPT may not include.
Okay. We're right at the end of the show here. Who's a good client for you? Who's a good contact? How do you want them to contact you?
Okay, what I'd like to tell you is that I have am preparing for a new venture. One of my associates is a guy by the name of Chris Daly, and Chris is a famous podcaster, and we're going together in developing a challenge that will put on all of our vast business networking and professional experiences together to get a system that would be applicable for everybody. But you can get in touch with me just by emailing me at gailstolzenburg.com, or you can send me a text at 281-493-1955.
And on the screen we have QR codes. Just put your phone up there on with the camera open, and voila, the contact information appears below. You tap on it,
Uh,
and it's one of those technology things. Anyway, Gail, thank you so very much for joining us here for the very first show of the Wise Ones in 2024. I look forward to us getting again together. There's just so many things that you and I have in common that it's always a great pleasure. Really, truly is to meet with you and just to chat, because just a lot of wisdom that you have in your world, and I really and truly enjoy our conversations.
Well, I'll tell you, Ray, I appreciate you having me here. And as you say, we have so many joint things, particularly things like the health industry that we both care a lot about. And I appreciate everything that you're doing. Thank you.
Well, maybe here in the very near future we'll get you on for a health discussion, because that's something that's an area of my passion and yours both. So, thank you so very much, Gail, and we will catch you later on. And good networking.
Good networking to you.
Okay, here we are wrapping up the Wise Ones on the 4th of January 2024. For those people who are looking at this show or other ones, the standard HTTPS / www. This is where you find everything with regard to USA Global TV. So after the www, it's .youtube.com, but you need a slash, the little letter C, another slash, and USA Global TV. And that'll take you right to YouTube where everything is available, and just go on in there. Archives on all the shows. There are about 40 shows a week that are available, sometimes more. But that is the wealth that we have in this particular network. It's truly worldwide. We say good morning, good afternoon, good evening all the time because you never know where our guests are in this particular world. Last month we had one gentleman from India, another from Australia. We have guests from all over. So anyway, great platform. We're expanding out into many other areas. So I'm going to bid you adieu. And my show on Talking Head starts in 15 minutes here on the USA Global TV and Radio Network and on the E360 TV network. We end up with two different distributions on that one. And I started last month talking about how can we attain optimal health in 2024. I spent most of December talking about mindset. How do we get our minds organized, aligned, so that we can actually accomplish something, trying to avoid some of the things we did in the past that didn't work. So today I'm picking it up and taking it from the mindset to now, what are those things we actually need to do in our health environment that's going to make a difference? So please join me if you can at Talking Heads, Red O'Laughlin on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And that starts roughly in about 15 minutes, 2 o'clock Central Time on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. That being said, I will bid adieu, and we will catch you next week. Looking forward to it. Bye now.